Welcome back to the Meadowlands and the Hambletonian, the Kentucky Derby of harness racing, a daytime bonanza. A terrific crowd has turned out this afternoon, about 20,000 at the Meadowlands Racetrack. This, the 70th edition. The race began back in 1926 in Syracuse, New York. Total purse, $1.2 million. It is 1 mile. The track is labeled fast, and this is a race for 3-year-old open trotters. All right, we're just about set to go for the call to post here at the Meadowlands. Always a special moment on Hambletonian Day. Post parade for the Cadillac Hambletonian. Number 1 is Tagliabue.
Bruce, this colt is sired by a Super Bowl, the last horse to win the Trotting Triple Crown back in 1972. One of the lightest raced entrants in this year's Hambletonian, but he's a big, powerful colt and was a very strong and fast-closing second to CRK Susie last week in the Beacon Course Trot Final.
Driver John Campbell has turned the Meadowlands into his own personal playground. Harness racing's first $100 million man. He's won 3 Hambletonians. And number 2 in the post parade is Abundance.
This one now driven by Bill Fay, 3-year-old colt by Armbro Goal. He himself a winner of the Hambletonian in 1988, trained by John Ducharme, and a surprise to be here, Bruce.
One of the regulars at the Meadowlands and one of the best, Bill Fay, is in the bike. Come on. Number 3 is Giant Hit.
A tremendously consistent, speedy crown colt with Hambletonian winning connections. He's quietly earned over $250,000 in sports and market, 156 for the mile distance.
The driver is Sonny Patterson, who twice finished second in the Hambletonian. Today he looks for a giant hit in the Hambletonian. Number 4 is Earthquake.
And his Swedish connections, trainer John Johnson, and the owner should be quite happy that he is here today. Just 1 victory in 6 starts this year. Lightly raced in 1995. And again, another surprise for the final.
Bernd Lindstedt competing in his 12th Hambletonian. He's knocked on the door before, finishing second in 1986 with Royal Prestige. Number 5 is Uma.
A very unpredictable colt, fast but not easy to handle. Hails from the stable of Ron Gerfine, by the way, trainer of last year's Hamble winner, Victory Dream.
The pilot, Cat Manzi, from a legendary harness racing family, driving in his 3rd Hambletonian. Number 6 is King Pine.
As we mentioned earlier, half-brother world champion Pine Chip from the stable of Chuck Sylvester. This one with a lot of ability and maybe not quite at the top of his game, but he better be in this one.
King Pine is handled by former New York Kingpin Mike LaChance, who won this race last year with Victory Dream. Number 7, Trustworthy.
Winner of the Canadian Trotting Classic, and now he's here at the Meadowlands looking to win it, and he could have a shot here, trained by Ron Gerfine once again.
The Magic Man, Bill O'Donnell, is about as trustworthy a driver as you can find. The Hall of Famer won this event in '85 with Practice. Number 8, Deliberate Speed.
He comes into this race off 2 straight wins, both quite impressive, but the last time he faced CRK Susie, he was soundly defeated, but he's going to be tough here today. I think he's got a lot of quick speed away from the gate.
The driver-trainer is Per Henriksen, a Norwegian who trained 1986 Hambletonian winner Nuclear Cosmos. Number 9, Superstar Ranger.
Now, he is from the Tommy Houghton stable. Of course, Tommy, the youngest driver to win the Hambletonian back in 1982 rather. Tommy not driving today. Superstar Ranger might have a shot with Jackie Moe.
The driver, Jack Moiseyev, who grew up in the same hometown as Bruce Springsteen, Freehold, New Jersey. Jackie Moe is the boss on the racetrack. Number 10 is Climbing Bud.
An upset winner of the New Jersey Sire Stakes final here at the Meadowlands back in June, defeating CR Trackmaster and Donerail. He's been on the board in 7 of 8 this year and is a talented colt.
Can lightning strike again? Last year, amateur driver Malvern Burrows won the Hambletonian Oaks with Gleam. Now in his first ever Hambletonian, he looks to score again. And now a look at the current odds for the 70th Cadillac Hambletonian. Tagliabue now is 6-5. Giant Hit, second choice at 3-1. And the third choice is King Pine at 4-1. We're getting closer to the 70th edition of the Cadillac Hambletonian. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Meadowlands Racetrack.
Two trotters now are head-to-head as they turn for home. The three-quarter mark was 1:33.4. Park Avenue Joe at the rail, racing for the challenge. Grove attacks on the outside, and neither of these brave trotters giving way. They are full tilt down the stretch, an eighth of a mile out. Park Avenue Joe digging in gamely. Grove pokes ahead in front. Grove on the outside. Park Avenue Joe comes roaring back. A relentless drive to the wire. Park Avenue Joe. Grove. Here's the finish. Too close to call.
1989, the only dead heat in Hambletonian history. Park Avenue Joe and Probe hitting the wire together. It's what they call Family Fun Day in Paddock Park here at the Meadowlands. Free pony and kiddie rides, clowns, music, and live entertainment. With those pictures etched in our minds, it's no wonder that world-famous artist Leroy Neiman is sketching those images as well. Neiman was commissioned to produce a unique commemorative poster for the 1995 Cadillac Hambletonian. The poster, featuring two trotters engaged in a stretch duel, celebrates the 70th edition of harness racing's most prized event. And right now, Leroy doing a little work on sketching the bugler. Here are the current odds for the 70th Cadillac Hambletonian. We are 5 minutes away from post. Tagliabue from the rail with John Campbell, 6-5, still the public's choice. Giant Hit with Sonny Patterson driving is 3-1. King Pine is 3.5 to 1. The driver is Mike LaChance. And there's a look at King Pine on the racetrack, Gary.
And looking pretty good right now. Again, I think he's been a little bit off his game. He has gone through a shoeing change here, and we're going to find out about that a little bit later. Mike LaChance looking rather comfortable on the bike.
King Pine continuing to score. And right now, let's go to Andrea Joyce.
All right, here are the current weather conditions. It has been brutally hot in the Northeast lately. 9 straight days of temperatures in the 90s. 85 today, 68% humidity. A little bit better, but not a whole lot of relief. The heat out here at the Meadowlands has caused concern for the horses.
With the veterinarian, and then we come in here.
Some people say that the fillies race actually a little better in the heat than the colts do. Hopefully she will respond well. She's in condition well. Important thing probably is keeping her electrolytes up, fluids up through the week, and she's good about that.
It certainly takes longer for them to recover when they're stressed in this humid weather. They go faster in it for some reason, I'm not sure why, and it does take them a while to get over it. So it's an individual thing with each horse, and some of them are going to react differently, and some will be able to overcome it and some won't.
And joining me now is the on-call veterinarian out here, Dr. Scott Palmer. Doctor, what is the physical effect on the horses with this heat?
Well, you know how you feel when it's real hot and humid and you go outside to exercise, and these horses have similar problems. This kind of weather just drains the energy right out of you. It can produce weakness and dehydration and even muscle cramping in severe cases.
So now what are the trainers doing for these horses between the elimination heats then and the final?
Well, these horses will be kept out of the sun. They'll drink lots of water and electrolytes. They'll bathe them with cold water and put ice on their legs and try and do anything that they can to dissipate some of that heat that they build up from the first effort.
So it seems like you would have an advantage then if you were in the first heat to have that extra time.
Well, actually, Andrew, really one of the best things that a trainer could do to minimize the effect of heat and humidity on a horse in the Hambletonian is just be lucky and draw that first elimination heat, because that will lengthen the recovery interval between races. And I think Tagliabue and the other horses that are going to make it into the final from that first heat will have a definite advantage.
All right, I think we could all use a couple of trainers out here to keep us cooled down. Now back to the guys who've been cool all afternoon, Bruce and Gary.
Thank you, Andrea. Chuck Sylvester joins us now, the trainer of King Pine. And what about the heat in your opinion, Chuck?
Well, you know, it's a real hot day and it's humid, and it definitely takes a toll on the horses. You know, it's taking it on me myself, so I know it affects them.
How did your horse come out of the first elimination?
Well, we weren't happy with him. I changed his shoes in between trips. We only had a half hour between races, so he's still blowing, and we're hoping for the best now.
Chuck, I thought your horse was not really at the top of his game in the final of the Beacon course. Really had no excuses there and got beat by a couple of long shots here in the elimination for the Hambletonian. What are your thoughts on King Pine's condition right now?
Well, 3 weeks ago, I thought the horse could trot in 53. Since then, he won a couple of races, but he just hasn't been himself. Last week, I was very disappointed. We did a lot of work on him. Came in today, and he was better, but we're obviously not real good yet.
Chuck Sylvester, good luck this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Right now, let's get some thoughts from track announcer John Bothy.
Well, so far, only William Houghton, Stanley Dancer, and Ben Wright have won 4 Cadillac Hambletonians. John Campbell is trying to do that. And John Campbell, believe it or not, has already won $12 million races and $130 million in purse earnings as he goes for his 13th million race right now, and he gets the inside post with Tagliabue.
All right, John, there's a look at the scene right now at the Meadowlands. Here are the current odds. Tagliabue is now even money after that performance in the first elimination. John Campbell driving for his brother Jim. He says this is a special day. If he could bring home a Hambletonian winner for his brother, it would be so very special indeed. King Pine, 7-2. Mike LeChance from the outside, trustworthy, deliberate speed, Superstar Ranger, Climbing Bud, all long shots. They will score 10 across here at this 1 mile oval. Let's talk about some records. The world record is 151-4. It was set by Beat the Wheel in 1994. The stakes record and the track record held by American winner in 1993.
Now, Bruce, a lot of people think coming into this race here today after the Beacon course that certainly Tagliabue, one of the horses that could have pulled an upset, now he's going to certainly be one of the favorites in the field here because he has been very, very strong, turned in a great effort in the Beacon course final, closing well to just beat by about 3 lengths or so by CRK Susie. He's got the rail and he's got John Campbell. And what a great story that would be. Jim Campbell and John Campbell and Tagliabue, a very strong, powerful colt, should have no problems whatsoever with the 2 heats today.
So the field is assembling right now behind starter Danny Dale. And this is a moment here at the Meadowlands they wait for all summer long. 10 of them across in the Cadillac Hambletonian, the most prestigious race of the year in the standardbred game. This is the second jewel of Trotting's Triple Crown, a contest of speed and endurance. All of these horses going for the second time today. Let's listen in to the thundering hooves. Track announcer John Bothy with the call of the 70th Cadillac Hambletonian final.
They're behind the gate and ready to go. And they're off. It's deliberate speed on the far outside for the lead. From between horses, Trustworthy. That's Giant Hit in third. Around the first turn they go. And Giant Hit, John Patterson Jr. on the far outside. Per Hendrickson off stride goes Trustworthy. Trustworthy on a break. It's Giant Hit with the lead as deliberate speed will settle in the pocket. Another 2.5 to Abundance as Campbell gets in gear with Tagliabue, and here he comes. Then it's Earthquake in 5th. The outside, Superstar Ranger. After that, it's Puma, followed by Climbing Bud. Opening quarter, 28 seconds. Also on a break was King Pine. So a couple of breakers as they move down the backstretch. And it's Tagliabue, and Campbell puts him on the lead by 2. With Giant Hit in second, another 1.5 to deliberate speed in third. The outside, it's Superstar Ranger. A rough first over trip, 4th for Mosaic. With Abundance in 5th. That's Uma. Live cover 6th. The outside, Climbing Bud. And Malvin Burrows about 8 lengths off the lead with Earthquake in 8th. The half in 56 and 1. Lively Clip and Tagliabue. Cruising along here by 2.5. Giant Hit in pursuit second. Another 2.5 back to deliberate speed in third. Mosaic. And it's Uma on the outside as Mosaic fades out of it. Manzi in gear with Uma 3/4 in 1:24.4. 3/16 to go. They're on their way home in the Cadillac Hambletonian. And it's Tagliabue and Campbell. They've opened up 4 lengths. Giant Hit is second. Another 2 back to Abundance and 2.5 to Earthquake. Here's a superstar, John Campbell. He's done it again, winning his 4th Cadillac Hambletonian with Tagliabue in 1:54.4. The race that John wanted to win for his brother Jim. He ties a record, his 4th Cadillac Hambletonian with Tagliabue. What a story here. John Campbell, he is Mr. Harness Racing and certainly Mr. Meadowlands.
Named for NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue, bred by John and Adelaide Skoglund. John, the chairman of the board of the Minnesota Vikings. This horse, lightly raced, didn't race at 2, was big and immature, but this year on the board in 6 of 7 starts. Jim Campbell, the trainer, gets the job done, as does John Campbell, who wins his 4th Cadillac Hambletonian.
And there is a shot of Jimmy, and he is a happy man today, as you can see, and so is his brother John. As soon as he gets to the finish line, John punches the air. This one was for Jimmy. He was a happy guy. They're both happy today, and I think we are too, Bruce, for Jimmy. It's good to see. He's a good man.
Gary, from non-winners to the Hambletonian, that's improvement in a short time.
Absolutely. Now we're going to see John had this colt cruising right now. Takes a look behind him, and he is cleared to the wire. He's got about 5 right now, and there's no problems for him. Tagliabue, as we said, a very strong, powerful colt, so I didn't think he'd have any problems with the 2 heats today, and he's got him flat, racing very well right down to the wire, and it's another one, 4 for John Campbell. You'll watch this right here. Gets to the wire and punches the air. It's for Jim.
The 3-year-old colt by Super Bowl out of the Speedy Crown mare, Double Coverage, owned by Arlene and Jules Siegel of Somerville, New Jersey, a $55,000 yearling. And we had a hint, Gary, of his abilities last week in the Beacon Course when he closed from 7th to finish 2nd to CRK Susie.
Yeah, as we mentioned earlier, Bruce, a lot of people did take note of that mile. He came from way back, and I asked John about it last night and a couple of days before. I said, John, this colt really trotted well in the Beacon Course final, and he says, yeah, he's definitely improving. I guess he improved.
So Tagliabue scores a touchdown for Jim and John Campbell in the Cadillac Hambletonian. Oh, what a sweet moment that is. The brothers come through at the Meadowlands. We'll be back. Well, there's the winning horse today, Tagliabue, the son of Super Bowl, winning the Cadillac Hambletonian. There is an inquiry for the 2nd and 3rd position, and here's a look, Gary, at the finish.
Again, Tagliabue clear. Just a little bit of maybe, okay, just the horse just obviously took a bad step. That's what it appeared has happened there. Maybe some locking wheels between those 2 up there.
Let's go to John Bothy for an explanation. John?
That's exactly what happened between the 2 Abundance and number 3 Giant Hit. There was some interference right near as they approached the wire. The judges took a look at it and decided no reason for any disqualifications, so they have made the Cadillac Hambletonian official.
All right, thank you very much. To my right, Jim Campbell, the trainer of Tagliabue. To our far right, John Campbell, the driver of Tagliabue. Congratulations, Jimmy, you're first.
Thank you very much. This is the biggest thrill I've ever had in harness racing, and yeah, I've had some good thrills, but this tops them all, and it makes it especially more thrilling with John driving.
What a dramatic recovery from his 2-year-old season when you turned him out, didn't race him at all.
Well, it was the best thing for him. He was just an immature colt. He wasn't ready to go the speeds that the 2-year-olds were going, and it worked. It paid off this year.
You know, I spoke to you, John, last night about this colt, and you said, yeah, he's improving, but you were kind of reserved about your opinion. How do you feel now?
I feel pretty good. I had a good feeling about this horse after last week, and fortunately he proved us right today.
Now, he made a break, of course, in his elim for the Hambo, but you got him back there, and he was certainly in good shape. We're going to take a look at the replay now, and you're at the rail with Tagliabue. Tell us what you're thinking at this point. There are some other horses leaving in front of you.
Don't get locked in. That was my biggest concern. I wanted to get off the rail as soon as possible. He's not an extremely fast horse out of the gate, and as soon as there was a little bit of room, I was heading to the outside.
And I guess Billy O'Donnell making a break there with Trustworthy did help you out some to get to the outside.
Well, not really. He was out farther than I was and ahead of me. It really didn't affect my horse at all. And once I got him out, and he was trotting real well, and I thought I could make the front and at least control the race.
And at this point, you're thinking that's what you've got to do, keep the horse flat, just get the lead and hold off the rest.
Yeah, I thought so. He'd won his elimination. I thought it was the toughest elimination, and I just thought if I keep him flat that he'll do the rest.
He went pretty well in that second quarter, 27-1 after an opening fraction of, looks like 29 from this, kind of where I'm standing, 28 from this position here, but they still went pretty well. What do you think?
Yeah, he trotted fairly strong down the backstretch. If you're going to make the front in a $1 million race, you're going to have to trot some to do it.
Were you concerned at all about Giant Hit behind you and the horse coming up on the outside from Moisea?
Not the horse on the outside. Giant Hit, I was a little concerned a bit till the 3 quarters, but right in here he wasn't even as tight on me. I was pretty sure I was going to beat him.
Trainer Jim Campbell, give us your perspective now with the horse looking extremely well and your Hambletonian in sight.
Well, going right through there, I was watching the whip to see where John had the whip, because with the whip back in his shoulder, it meant that he had some horse left. And right in here, I was starting to feel good, but it wasn't get real excited till about the 7/8 pole. Mr. Siegel and I were watching the race together, and the 7/8 pole, we thought we had the race won, and John looked to be sitting pretty comfortable.
You've been in the sport for a long time. Ever had such a feeling?
This is the greatest feeling I've ever had in this sport. This is what it's all about. This is why we're here, and this feeling you never forget.
Congratulations to Jim and John Campbell. Now let's go to Andrea Joyce.
All right, thanks, guys. We've got a lot of folks here ready for the trophy presentation. Robert Mulcahy, the president of the New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority. We got a lot of people up here. We've got Andy Grant, the president of the Hambletonian Society. We've got Joe DeFrank from the Meadowlands. We've got Dick Wellday, the Eastern Zone manager of the Cadillac Motor Car Division, and he is here to present the trophy to the owners of the winning horse Tagliabue, Jules and Arlene Siegel.
Jules and Arlene, we're excited about this victory, and on behalf of Cadillac, it is our pleasure to present to you this outstanding trophy for an outstanding win. Congratulations. That's great.
Okay, now the first thing you have to do is repeat all the names that no, just joking. This was really a surprising day out here, and this was a lightly raced horse. How do you explain this success this afternoon?
The two brothers that are standing over there are the reason for his success. Both Jim and John Campbell are just the best pair you could ever encounter.
Did you have the sense once CRK Susie was not in the final that this was a wide open race?
Well, I was sorry that she wasn't, but I guess it was a wide open race. And it was a very exciting race. We were against the top in the world, and it is a personal thrill for us.
Is there any way to explain your emotions as you were watching the horses come down the stretch?
Not really. Jim just was grabbing me around the head, and I couldn't say a word.
Couldn't see or hear anything, right? All right, guys, congratulations once again. Let's go back to Bruce and Gary.
Well, one thing about this sport, it is predictably unpredictable.
It really is, but I think one thing that is predictable, John Campbell is indeed the best.
CRK Susie, we had a story at the beginning of the day, one of the greatest fillies coming into the Hambletonian, the fastest ever horse to race in a Hambletonian, but a disappointing day for her. So there was a lot of disappointment, but there were some great thrills as well. Tagliabue returns $3.60, $3 and $2.60. Abundance second, $8.80 and $5.80. Great story, Abundance today. Giant hit third, $3.20. Exacta 1 and 2, $28.80. Now let's go back to the first elimination where the story of the day really unfolded when CRK Susie went on a break.
Bruce, and the 30,000 people at the Meadowlands today, you could hear a pin drop at this point. Complete shock in the crowd as CRK Susie, who, believe me, was the crowd favorite here. They wanted to see this filly win right there. Nothing more than taking a bad step. She came out of the race fine. Rod Allen took her back, tried to get her back together. He did get her back trotting. And here is Tagliabue in the final, because once again, we're talking about John Campbell, the sport's best. He is cruising to the wire.
So for John and Jim Campbell, today's victory was good. Let's go to Andrea Joyce.
So for Bruce Beck and Gary Seibel, I'm Andrea Joyce saying so long from the Meadowlands, where Tagliabue has won the 1995 Cadillac Hambletonian.
This CBS Sports special presentation of the Cadillac Hambletonian is sponsored by Cadillac and your Cadillac dealer, creating a higher standard.
Coming up next, it's live third round coverage of the Buick Open. And tomorrow, the CBS Sports Show takes you live to Peoria, Illinois for the AMA Grand National Invitational Motorcycle Race. Plus, live from Ledyard, Connecticut, Hector Camacho takes on Gary Kirkland in a 12-round welterweight bout. The 1995 Cadillac Hambletonian has been a special presentation of CBS Sports.